bound by fate. The dust swirled around as the sun began to set over the rugged terrain of the Wyoming frontier. A determined Army scout named Riley rode her sturdy chestnut mare, navigating through the rocky paths of the distant foothills. A wide-brimmed hat shielded her sun-kissed face from the scorching sun as she scanned the area for any signs of trouble. As she approached a secluded clearing, the sound of heated voices caught her attention. Dismounting with quiet caution, she secured her mare's reins and unslung her rifle, keeping her instincts sharp. Peeking over a craggy ledge, she saw a striking woman with sun-kissed skin and dark hair tangled in vine-like curls. The woman was fiercely defending herself against a trio of rowdy bandits who were harassing her. "Give it up, chica," jeered one of the men while waving a torn shawl over his head like a trophy. The others roared with laughter, egging him on. The fiery woman, undeterred by their taunts, pushed back with her words, her accent thick with spirit. "You will regret this." "I am not your plaything," she challenged, her eyes flashing with indignation. Just then, Riley stepped forward onto the rocky rise, her rifle trained on the brutes. "I think you boys picked the wrong fight today," she called out, her voice steady and firm. The men froze, turning to face the newcomer, their expressions shifting from amusement to apprehension. "You think you can take us all on, little scout?" scoffed the bulliest among them, his bravado slipping. "That's not what I meant," Riley replied coolly, her finger resting over the trigger. "But I can promise you'll find it more difficult to harass that woman with me around." The men hesitated, and in a flash, Riley's shot rang out, hitting the ground near the feet of the lead thug. Panic surged through them as the remaining two bolted for their horses. The woman turned to Riley, her expression shifting from fear to admiration. "You saved me," she said, her voice filled with relief. Riley lowered her rifle slightly, taking in the sight of the striking dark-eyed woman. "Now that's something not every day brings," she remarked with a smirk. "What's your name?" "Isabella," she replied, taking a shaky breath. "Thank you, Riley. I thought I would not make it out alive." Riley knelt down, a sense of warmth washing over her at Isabella's presence. "We can't have that. What were you doing out here?" Isabella stood taller, regaining her composure, and pointed towards the horizon. "I was searching for supplies for my home, a refuge for women in need. They rely on me." Riley nodded, a flicker of admiration igniting in her chest. "A refuge? Sounds like a worthy cause. But those men were trouble, and more will come if they catch wind of what you do." Isabella nodded, her gaze somber but resolute. "I cannot abandon them. We have faced too much already." Riley considered Isabella's dedication, feeling an unexpected connection. "All right, I'll help you with your supplies. We should ride together, safety in numbers, after all." The two women climbed onto Riley's mare, Isabella settling in behind Riley, feeling the strength emanating from the scout. As they rode out, the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the terrain, hinting at the promise of a new beginning. The journey was not without its challenges. Fierce storms rolled through with unexpected intensity, but Riley and Isabella found shelter in a dilapidated cabin along the way. Huddled inside, they shared stories under the dim light of an oil lamp. Isabella spoke of her life before the refuge, revealing the struggles she faced. Riley reciprocated, sharing her experiences as a scout, a life filled with both peril and purpose. They discovered laughter in their stories and solace in their vulnerabilities. As dawn broke over the horizon, the bond between them deepened. They faced the world together, driven by their shared goals and the secrets they held. But as they neared their destination, doubt crept into Riley's mind. How could she fully trust Isabella when her past remained murky and uncertain? "Promise me we'll be honest with each other," Riley said one morning as they prepared for the last leg of their journey. "I can't help you if I don't know the truth." Isabella met her gaze, sincerity etched across her features. "I promise, Riley. We all carry burdens, but together we can lighten them." With that resolution, they forged ahead, unwavering in their determination. As night fell on their final destination, the stars shimmered brightly overhead, illuminating the path to their future, a path entwined with trust, resilience, and unexpected companionship. Though uncertainties lingered, the strength of their connection shone brightly. Together, they faced whatever lay ahead, bound by fate and the unyielding support that had sprung from their shared struggles. A new chapter awaited them, and it would be one they would navigate side by side. As they approached the small town of Pine Hollow, a sense of anticipation mingled with nervousness washed over Riley and Isabella. The sun had begun to dip below the jagged mountains, casting long shadows over the dusty streets. A subtle hum of activity filled the air, with townsfolk going about their business unaware of the two women's impending arrival. "Just keep your head up, and let me do the talking if anyone gets curious," Riley advised, glancing at Isabella. Her heart raced with a mix of protectiveness and delight. She felt a surge of pride having someone so resolute beside her. Isabella nodded, her courage apparent despite the flutter of anxiety in her chest. "With your help, I can handle whatever comes our way," she replied, determination glimmering in her eyes. Upon entering town, they stopped at the general store, a weathered building with a creaky sign swinging in the breeze. Riley stepped inside first, the bell jingling gently as the door swung open. The shopkeeper, a stout man with a bushy beard, looked up from behind the counter, eyes narrowing suspiciously. "What can I do for you two?" he grunted, leaning back in his chair. Riley flashed a warm smile, trying to put him at ease. "We're in need of supplies for a, charitable cause. Do you happen to have anything suitable?" The shopkeeper's curiosity piqued as he studied the two women. "Depends on what you're after. I've got flour, sugar, some dried meats." "Anything for women's needs?" Isabella interjected, stepping closer to the counter. Her voice was steady, her accent thick but proud, betraying none of her inner tension. He squinted at her, clearly assessing both her confidence and the sincerity of her inquiry. "You mean," he trailed off, eyes darting from Isabella to Riley. "Just the essentials," Riley interjected, keeping her voice casual. "We've got the money to pay, and we're keen on keeping it discreet." She pulled out a small pouch of gold coins she had liberated from the bandits, letting it glint in the dim light. The shopkeeper's demeanor shifted slightly, intrigue overtaking his caution. "All right then," he said, a begrudging smirk forming on his lips. "I can help you, but you didn't hear it from me." As they began to gather items, Riley and Isabella exchanged glances, their connection simmering in the unspoken understanding they shared. As they loaded their goods into a makeshift cart, Riley couldn't help but admire the resolve that radiated from Isabella. Once they had collected everything they needed, they wheeled their cart back outside, where the evening air felt cooler. As dusk settled into darkness, they found a quiet alley to stash their supplies and formulate their next move. "Now that we've got what you need, what's next?" Riley asked, leaning against the wall. Isabella bit her lip, tracing her fingers along the edge of the cart. "I need to get this back to the refuge. It's not much, but it'll sustain us for a while longer." Riley straightened, feeling the weight of her own indecision. "I could help you deliver it. It sounds important to you, and I'd like to see this refuge of yours." Isabella's face lit up with appreciation. "You would do that?" "It's a hard journey, and there are dangers on the way." "It's just a ride." "I'm used to worse," Riley responded nonchalantly, though she wasn't entirely sure how far her loyalty would take her. The idea of sticking around, of getting closer to Isabella, both thrilled and terrified her. "Then let's leave as soon as possible." "We can't delay any longer," Isabella urged, her excitement palpable. "I'll keep you safe, I promise." With that, they set off into the night, the silver moon illuminating the path before them. The quiet of the wilderness wrapped around them, only the crunch of gravel beneath their horses' hooves and the distant call of night birds broke the stillness. As they rode side by side, Isabella shared tales of the women living in her refuge, stories of survival, courage, and sisterhood. Riley felt a sense of admiration growing within her. Isabella was not only determined but a beacon of strength for those who had none. A sudden movement in the underbrush interrupted their conversation, and they both halted abruptly, instinctively scanning their surroundings. "Keep quiet," Riley murmured, her senses heightening as she peered into the shadows. Just then, a figure emerged from the bushes, revealing a man with a dusty hat pulled low over his face. "What have we here?" he called out, grinning as he stepped into the moonlight. "A midnight ride, is it?" Riley stiffened, instincts kicking in. "We're just passing through. Best to stay out of our way." The man's grin widened as he assessed them, his friend appearing from behind him, a mocking smirk dancing on his lips. "You look like you've got trouble written all over you. Would be a shame if something were to happen to that pretty wagon of yours." Riley narrowed her eyes, feeling the tension thicken in the air. Without hesitation, she reached for her rifle, but Isabella placed a firm hand on her arm, urging her to stay calm. "They're just trying to scare us, right?" Isabella said, her voice steady but low. "We can walk away peacefully." The men exchanged skeptical glances. "Walk away? Where's the fun in that?" the first man sneered, stepping closer. "Last chance," Riley warned, leveling her rifle at them. "Leave now, or I'll make you regret crossing us." The men hesitated, eyeing each other. Finally, their bravado faltered. They stepped back, hands raised in mock surrender. "Consider this a warning," the second man sneered before they turned and retreated into the shadows. Riley released a breath she didn't know she was holding, glancing sideways at Isabella. "You okay?" Isabella nodded, though her face was pale. "I didn't think they'd actually approach us." I'm sorry." "Don't apologize," Riley said quickly. "You stood your ground." Touching Isabella's shoulder, she continued, "We'll have to be careful. The world isn't always as forgiving as you." Isabella met her gaze, this time a spark of determination lighting her eyes. "Then we'll be strong together. We can't let fear dictate our lives." Riley nodded, their resolve deepening as they both understood what was at stake. The journey ahead would not be easy, but their shared purpose and emerging bond would shape whatever lay before them. With newfound determination, they pressed on, riding into the deeper unknown, forging a path not just for supplies, but for their own liberation. Together, they would face whatever adversities the wild frontier threw their way, hand in hand and heart to heart. As they continued their journey through the rugged landscape, the atmosphere between Riley and Isabella shifted. The fear from their earlier encounter hung in the air, but it was woven tightly with a shared resolve to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The night was adorned with stars that twinkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet tapestry, and the moon shone brightly, providing just enough light to guide their path. They rode in comfortable silence, both lost in contemplative thoughts. After a few hours, the trail began to descend into a narrow valley lined with tall pines. The cool mountain air brought a refreshing change, easing the tension that clung to their shoulders. "Is this where your refuge is?" Riley asked, breaking the quiet as they rounded a bend. "No, we are still a bit away," Isabella replied, her voice carrying a hint of excitement. "It's hidden from prying eyes, but close enough to the river to remain supplied. The women can fish and gather berries nearby." Riley glanced over, captivated by Isabella's passion. "You really care for them, don't you?" With a small smile, Isabella nodded. "They're like family to me. We support one another and help each other grow. It is not just about survival, it's about solidarity." Riley felt a warmth spread through her chest at the thought of such unity. "That's amazing. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to build that kind of trust." "It was not easy, but it was necessary," Isabella said, her voice steady. "Many of the women came to me broken, lost. Together, we learned to find our strength. That's why the supplies are so important. They will help us sustain our home." Riley looked ahead, focusing on the trail. "Then let's make sure they have what they need." The weight of their mission settled upon her shoulders, the urgency of their journey felt more personal now. If Isabella's refuge was truly a sanctuary for women, it deserved protection. Just as they began to approach a narrow pass, a low growl echoed through the trees. Both women froze, instantly alert. "What was that?" Isabella whispered, gripping the sides of the saddle. Riley's instincts kicked in, scanning the darkness. "Stay close to me," she instructed before nudging her mare forward slowly. The sound grew louder, and soon, they spotted a figure lurking in the shadows, an enormous wolf, its eyes gleaming like lanterns in the moonlight. "Riley," Isabella breathed, terror filling her voice. "Just keep quiet," Riley urged as the predator paced back and forth, its fur bristling. The wolf seemed wary but curious, its gaze fixed on the two travelers. With a sudden instinct, Riley considered her options. "I'll draw its attention. You stay close." "What?" "No." Isabella protested, but Riley had already readied her rifle again, aiming it toward the ground rather than the beast, hoping to deter it without firing a shot. She didn't want to provoke it needlessly. The wolf, still unsure, lowered its head and let out a low growl. Riley took a step forward, speaking gently, trying to calm the creature. "Easy there, friend. We mean you no harm." Unexpectedly, Isabella joined her side, her voice strong and steady despite the fear that still coursed through her. "Yes, we are merely passing through." The wolf halted its pacing, its ears perked up as if assessing their intentions. For a moment, tension hung in the air, and then slowly, the creature backed off, retreating into the dense trees, vanishing from sight. Riley and Isabella let out a simultaneous sigh of relief, both of them instinctively glancing at each other, sharing an unspoken moment of triumph. "Nice work," Riley said, unable to hide her admiration. "You didn't freeze up." "I was terrified, but you showed me how to stand firm," Isabella replied, her voice steadier now. "I can't let fear control me, not now." They pressed on, feeling invigorated from their encounter. The forest opened up again, and soon they could hear the gentle rush of water nearby. "Just beyond those trees is the refuge," Isabella pointed out, her voice filled with anticipation. "I can't wait to show you." As they approached a clearing, the shimmering river came into view, reflecting the light of the moon. Nestled on the riverbank was a collection of quaint wooden cabins, their doors slightly ajar, and lanterns swinging gently in the breeze. "Welcome to Casa de Esperanza," Isabella declared triumphantly. Riley took in the sight, the juxtaposition of the tranquil landscape and the sturdy cabins creating a warm feeling deep within her. "This is incredible," she said, genuinely impressed. Even as they stepped forward, a group of women emerged from the cabins, curiosity mingling with excitement as they saw Isabella. She dismounted swiftly, her face alight with joy. "Ms. Queridas," she called out, opening her arms wide as the women rushed to her. The embrace was instantaneous, laughter and tears flooding the air as they welcomed Isabella back. Riley stood back, a sense of admiration swelling within her. This was what Isabella had fought for, these connections, this refuge. As the women turned to Riley, introducing themselves with warm smiles, she felt a sense of belonging wash over her. They thanked her for bringing Isabella back safely, and Riley realized how much her own path had changed since meeting the fiery woman at the hands of those bandits. One of the women, a tall figure with braids woven with colorful threads, stepped forward. "You are brave to face the wild and bring supplies to our home." "Thank you," she said, her gaze penetrating yet warm. Riley shrugged, her heart swelling with pride. "It's nothing, really. I just wanted to help." As the night unfolded, Riley found herself woven into the fabric of their community. They celebrated Isabella's return with music, laughter, and stories exchanged under the stars. The weight of Riley's past began to lift with every tale shared, every connection made. As the fire crackled and the smell of cooking wafted through the air, Riley caught Isabella's eye across the gathered group. A knowing smile passed between them, deepening their bond further. In that moment, Riley realized something profound. This connection wasn't just about survival or supplies. It was about belonging, purpose, and discovering strength in one another. As the evening wore on, Riley felt a sense of home that she hadn't anticipated. She knew she would stay and lend her skills to protect this haven, to ensure that women like Isabella, and the countless others in need, had a place to feel safe. With hearts aligned and purpose shared, both women began to see their lives intertwined in a way that promised adventure, allegiance, and perhaps, something deeper. The journey behind them faded to whispers as a new chapter awaited, filled with the promise of solidarity and endless possibilities. As night enveloped Casa de Esperanza, the bonfire flickered, casting dancing shadows on the faces of the gathered women. The laughter and music wrapped around Riley like a warm embrace, filling her with a sense of belonging she had never fully known. Each story exchanged over the crackling fire painted a vivid picture of resilience, of battles fought and won, not just against external forces, but against the demons within. Isabella stood beside her, her presence a calming anchor. They exchanged glances frequently, an understanding passing between them that was growing deeper by the hour. The bond they had forged in their journey was solidified in this moment of community, and Riley felt a surge of gratitude for their chance encounter. As the celebration continued, Riley stepped away from the circle and wandered closer to the riverbank. The soft sound of the water flowing felt like a gentle reminder of nature's rhythm, soothing her whirlwind thoughts. She let out a slow breath, allowing the cool night air to clear her mind. Just then, Isabella approached, her expression softening as she joined Riley at the water's edge. "What are you thinking?" she asked, curiosity piqued. Riley turned to face her, a hint of vulnerability in her eyes. "I've never really had a place that felt right. I mean, I've always been on the move, always searching without knowing what I was looking for." Isabella tilted her head slightly, her dark eyes searching Riley's. "And do you think you found it?" "I think I might have," Riley replied quietly, feeling a truth settle in her heart. "This place, and the women here, they share something fierce. And you, what you've built is incredible." A shy smile broke across Isabella's face, and she lowered her gaze, clearly touched. "It's not just me. It's all of us. We create our strength together." "Still," Riley said, taking a step closer, "it takes a leader to inspire that kind of unity. You have a way, Isabella." The sincerity in her voice made Isabella look up, their eyes locking in a moment filled with unspoken emotion. "I never imagined I would meet someone like you, Riley," Isabella confessed, a distinct vulnerability in her tone. "You flew in like a tempest, and you bring a strength I didn't know I needed." Riley felt her heart race, a blend of affection and admiration bubbling between them. "We've faced danger together, and there's still much to do," she said carefully. "I want to help you protect this place." The moment hung heavy between them, the air thick with possibility. Isabella took a tentative step forward, closing the space between them, her voice barely above a whisper. "You could stay, you know. We could really use someone like you." "I want to," Riley breathed, her heart pounding. "I want to be here, with all of you. With you." A smile blossomed on Isabella's lips, illuminating her face under the moonlight. "Then stay with us, Riley. This refuge can be your home too." Riley's heart swelled, a warmth flooding through her. The journey that had begun so chaotically had transformed into something beautiful, a shared commitment to protect and nurture a community while discovering their own personal fulfillment. As the night deepened, the women began to settle down, tired from their revelry yet comforted by the sense of friendship that hung in the air. Riley took Isabella's hand, threading their fingers together, feeling a connection deeper than shared battle and survival. It was companionship. They turned back toward the group, ready to face whatever new challenges awaited them together. Just then, a figure appeared on the outskirts of the gathering, one of the women sent to keep watch on the perimeter. Her expression was tense as she approached the fire. "Isabella." "Riley," she called out urgently. "There's news. A group of men is headed this way. They're looking for trouble." Instantly, the atmosphere shifted from mirth to urgency. The laughter ceased, and the women busied themselves with the hastily drawn plans for defense. Riley felt adrenaline kick in as the reality of their situation set in. She turned to Isabella. "What do we do?" "We protect our home," Isabella said firmly, the earlier warmth replaced with resolve. "Everyone, gather what we can use to defend ourselves. Riley, come with me." Together, they rallied the women, preparing to stand firm, united against the threat. Riley couldn't help but feel a fierce pride for the strength and bravery displayed all around her. Here, in this moment, she found herself firmly rooted among those who shared her determination, women who would fight for what they believed in. As the sound of footsteps grew closer, Riley took a deep breath, her rifle steady in her hands. She stood shoulder to shoulder with Isabella and the other women, a formidable force ready to protect their sanctuary. The men appeared, emerging from the trees, rugged and imposing, clearly unaware of the fire and resolve awaiting them. But as they stepped into the clearing, Riley and Isabella took a collective step forward, their voices ringing out strong and unwavering. "This is our home," Riley declared, positioning herself at the forefront, heart pounding with adrenaline. "You will not take from us." The men hesitated, taking in the sight of the fearless group of women standing defiantly before them, armed and ready. It was clear they hadn't expected such a challenge. "What are you gonna do, try to fight us?" one of the men barked, attempting to intimidate them. With unwavering determination, Isabella stepped into the light. "We will fight for our right to exist and thrive, no matter who stands against us." The atmosphere crackled with tension, the men exchanged glances, uncertain. Riley's grip on her rifle tightened, her heart racing. She could feel the strength of the women around her, their fearlessness, their resolve. The men shifted uneasily, sensing the unity in the women's ranks. After a moment of heavy silence, they began to back away, realizing they had underestimated the strength of the sanctuary. With that, they turned and retreated back into the darkness of the trees, leaving the women to stand tall and proud. A collective sigh of relief flooded the air, laughter soon following as they realized they had defended their home. Isabella stepped beside Riley, both of them feeling the exhilaration of their victory. "We did it," she said, wonder in her eyes as she gazed at the other women celebrating their courage. Riley grinned back, feeling a surge of pride swell in her chest. "We did," she echoed, her eyes meeting Isabella's. In that shared glance, they understood that this was just the beginning. Together, they turned back towards the fire, ready to embrace what lay ahead, a new dawn bright with promise, together, as partners, allies, and perhaps something more. The bond they had forged would only grow stronger as they continued to stand side by side, facing the world united and unbreakable. And as the stars shimmered above, Riley felt a deeper understanding settle within her. Here, in this refuge, surrounded by strong women and with Isabella by her side, she had truly found her home.